Concourse Hosting, we provide what we call private cloud services. It's kind of a hybrid of what you would maybe think of as traditional hosting services, more hybrid in terms of being able to integrate with whatever it is that the client wants to do. Sales is about partnerships, is about relationships, and you need to provide value to the customer. If it's not a hell yes, in other words, hell yes, we can solve your problem, then it's a no. You know, Star Wars, there's Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker saves the day, defeats Darth Vader. Who's the guide? Obi-Wan Kenobi. You, as the vendor selling the service, you are not Luke Skywalker. So if you're positioning yourself as, we're going to come in and we're going to save the day, you've got the story wrong. The customer is Luke Skywalker. You make them the hero. You are Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're giving them the tools that they need, the guidance that they want, unlocking their potential so they can be the hero.
Thanks so much for joining, Glenn.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where are you calling from today?
I am in Seattle, Washington.
Seattle.
How about you?
I'm in San Francisco.
Okay.
Not too far away, right?
Exactly. Yep.
So how's the weather in Seattle nowadays?
You know, it's actually been a really great spring. Yeah. It's a little cloudy today, but it's been fantastic lately. We're looking forward to you know, Seattle weather is not too different from San Francisco, right? You kind of get that gray that comes off the water, right? So it's a little bit chillier than you think it should be in the morning sometimes, but summertime is it, right? You want to be in Seattle or San Francisco in the summer because summers are usually just fantastic weather. So yeah.
Yeah, and you have the mountains as well in the background.
We have the mountains too. That's true. Not to brag, but we have mountains and you don't. So
you are allowed to brag. You are definitely allowed.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing. Well, again, great to meet you.
You too.
Before we dig in, I'll give you a little bit of context. So
Sure.
I am the founder of Imperial Arts. We do mainly partner with B2B SaaS companies to help increase their revenue and profitability by mainly acquiring new clients. And that is why we're now interviewing leaders in the industry, previously people at Mercedes-Benz and Cisco, and now you, to gain deeper insights into the market and provide some value back to you in the form of this podcast. It usually takes around 30 to 40 minutes. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Great. Okay, are you good to start?
I am good to start.
Fantastic. So I understand that Concourse Host provides services for B2B in the B2B space.
That's right.
Could you share some insights into your business and the role you
Sure.
play with it, and maybe a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so our company Concourse Hosting, we provide what we call private cloud services, right? So it's kind of a hybrid of what you would maybe think of as traditional hosting services, but also more hybrid in terms of being able to integrate with whatever it is that the client wants to do. So they might have some things in the public cloud, some things that they have on premise now. And so we figure out how to navigate, those resources and find the best place to run the thing that it is that they need to run. We typically work with a lot of larger organizations. They may be, nonprofits that have big fundraising systems. They may be big manufacturing companies, but yeah, it's a lot of companies that have a lot of different things going on, usually that they have a lot of questions about cloud and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Fantastic. That's super interesting. I mean, this is a huge industry. You have
It is
humongous players, and you have medium players, you have smaller players that can kind of tailor based on your clients. What are the current trends in the market that you're aware of? Where are the winds blowing? What are you noticing?
Yeah, there's a couple things. So I think, really 10 years ago when the cloud started to really take off, everyone was just excited. It's just like, hey, let's lift and shift everything and move it into the cloud. And there was incentives. So Microsoft was doing a lot of incentives, doing credits. It's just making it very, looked financially good to get everything in the cloud. I think now people are having a little bit of buyer's remorse, a little bit of regret. Maybe there's some sprawl happening. There's a lot of things in the cloud that maybe don't need to be in the cloud. And also the price tag has gone up, right? So
Yeah.
now companies are taking a harder look at it and saying, okay, what do we need to maybe pull back out of the cloud again and figure out some other thing for, because that's too expensive. So that's one thing. And I think the sprawl in general too, right? A lot of, similarly to the cloud, people moving a lot of assets to the cloud, people were adopting these different SaaS applications left and right. Hey, here's a SaaS application that does project management. Here's one that does my knowledge base. Here's one that does this particular thing, that particular thing. And then at the end of the day, it's like, wow, we have 20 different applications, all these tools, all these systems. Do we really need Slack and Teams, whatever, And so you have this sprawl of stuff. So people are having to analyze that and say, we should consolidate maybe and pull some things back. Yeah.
I see. And that is something that I'm assuming that you also help companies with. Is that right?
No, we help with the first one, right? So we help with the cloud infrastructure piece. So if there's big infrastructure components, hosting components, databases, servers, stuff like that, we'll help with that. For the other piece, I would just maybe give some advice around there and to say, just an example for our own journey internally, things that we've done is we've looked at consolidating into Notion. So Notion is a very flexible platform. I'm not quite sure what you call it. It's kind of part database, part website. It's really cool, the different thing, part note-taking application. But that's what we found is like, wow, there's so many different little SaaS applications that we had that were doing these different things. People had to learn the interface for, right? And so we just, let's pull it back into Notion. And that did two things. One is, I think it made everyone get on the same page, and there's, less confusion about how this tool works and that tool works. But the other is automation, right? This is where I think people are really going to want to look at consolidating, because with AI coming, you hear about agentic AI coming, the more tools and different weird applications that you have, that's the more integration points, and finding that source of truth that the AI agentic thing can work with becomes that much more complicated. So it's much easier if you have, 3 or 5 systems that the AI is having to talk to and manage and do these agentic processes with, than 20, right?
Yes.
The more sprawl you have, the more complicated it gets, and then you just kind of lose track of what's, and then also the more points of failure, right? Oh, this thing failed over here. These SaaS applications weren't built for this, a lot of them. So
I would love to dig a little bit more into this Notion setup that you have, because
yeah.
we use Notion at Imperial Arts
Okay.
as well.
Yeah.
And we use it primarily to present final offers and
Yep.
quotes and go through all of our services that we provide when we get to those points
Yeah.
with clients. You mentioned actually using it even further. Do you
Yeah.
use custom embeds, or how do you solve those issues?
Boy, I don't know that we have one solution for solving it. I think we've tackled it from 2 angles. One is we have our internal process team, if you will, that kind of just runs the day-to-day things. They're building templates. They're training themselves up on Notion, and they have their own internal processes that they then share with the rest of the team. It's like, hey, if you want to have this form to fill out, which then makes a project in order to do a checklist and complete a bunch of tasks, here's the way that we're doing it. And so, Notion's coming out with new features all the time for helping those kind of stuff. And there's also some great resources online. If you go look on YouTube or different places, you'll find Notion templates. Maybe you can't use that kind of stuff right out of the box, but that gives you some great ideas about different ways to use Notion. But I think, people need to just, maybe roll up their sleeves and dig in and figure out some of those things. So that's one way we're using it. The second way is more from a development perspective. And this is more for tinkering, right? We're playing around with webhooks. We're looking at automations. We're looking at, dabbling in different kinds of things to connect Notion through agentic processes. Yeah.
Wow, that's super interesting. I've never heard anybody use
Yeah.
Notion to that extent. That's
I mean,
fantastic.
it's not as robust as, an enterprise platform. I wouldn't consider Notion to be an enterprise platform, like Salesforce or something like that. But you're going to pay, 10x for Salesforce, and the complexity of that is also 10x, right?
Yeah,
But I mean,
endless.
there's more things you can do. It's going to be a lot more robust and whatnot. But I mean, Notion, they're coming along, and I think they're really one to watch. And if I was going to hang my hat on something, I think, I like their trajectory of what they're focusing on. But yeah, I mean, it's not as powerful as like a Salesforce, but for most companies, it can do a lot more than you think it can. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, very, very nice to hear.
Yeah.
I wish we could talk about this forever, but let's get back
Yeah,
on the
sure.
topic of growth.
Yep, go
Um,
ahead.
when you look at the next 6 to 12 months in your
Yeah.
business,
hmm
where do you see the biggest opportunities for growth that you're really excited about, and where do you see the biggest gaps that need to be fixed?
Um, Boy, that's a great question. I think opportunities for growth, one of them is around private cloud, right? So people pulling resources out of the public cloud because it costs too much. And not just that it costs too much, but it's also there's a complexity of managing all that sort of stuff. I think before they had IT staff to manage those things, they put it in the cloud. IT can manage some of it, but there's another layer when you mix it with the applications and whatnot as well. So just simplifying consolidation, so there are organizations that are wanting to pull back strategically out of the cloud, not just tactically to save a little money, but just strategically, how do they want to be positioned for the next 5 years and so on. That's one opportunity. And I think another is around AI. And I think for that, it's more, I mean, there's so much talk and everyone's wanting to get in on the AI, and we're certainly not AI experts, but we have found some tools that we think are interesting and are worth taking a look at and worth experimenting with. And so we've stood up some of those things and opened it up for our clients to get in and start playing around with that and see what might happen. So,
So
yeah.
what's currently hindering a lot of your potential clients from simplifying strategically and reliably from private cloud? What's holding them back, do you think?
Um, Complexity. It's a strategic decision, right? And so it needs to be made at the top. So sometimes it's just indecision, it's analysis paralysis. It's wanting to make sure that they're making the right choice strategically, right? And so some of them, it's kind of like it's fine to measure twice and cut once, right? You hear that aphorism out there, and that's great. You want to make sure you're making these big decisions, but sometimes it's measure 3 times, measure 4 times. Are we sure that this is the right thing? IDC, who's one of these internet research companies, put out a white paper. I think recently that VMware was talking about, and there's been kind of a redefining or rebranding of VMware since Broadcom took them over. But people are looking seriously at that, and that white paper just talks specifically about that, about strategically looking at private cloud solutions and figuring out, okay, maybe it's the kind of some core components, I call them the crown jewels, that you need to figure out what you're going to do with for the next 3 to 5 years. You just find the right home for it. Yeah.
Yeah, we hear it all the time, and that maybe clients don't really know what they're looking for, and
Yeah.
a lot of a lot of businesses struggle with messaging and actually
Yeah.
explaining and educating their clients about what they need or what they're looking for, what the outcomes can be, really
Right.
nailing that.
Yeah.
Is that so? I guess on that topic,
Sure.
how important for you is it to build strategic visibility like that right now. So whether that would be the branding or company positioning or just
Yeah.
getting the story out more clearly to ideal partners or clients,
Yeah.
is that something that you're looking into?
I guess it depends on the business, right? But I think ultimately sales is about partnerships, is about relationships, and you need to provide value to the customer. I mean, that's the starting point, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, what are you doing? So
Yeah.
from my standpoint, I look at it from, if you're coming in with the energy of like, hey, I'm of service to you, Mr. Customer, potential customer, like, how can I be of service to you? And a lot of that, let's ask questions. What are you trying to do? What are you struggling with? Listening to those answers, not trying to have a preconceived notion of like, hey, I just wanted you to be quiet so I can just start talking and sell you on my pitch. But, and maybe we're more custom and so we're not selling a particular product per se, but really listening to the customer and finding out what their challenges are, what they're struggling with, empathizing with them, and then be able, if you can summarize that back to them and say, hey, this is what I understand is happening to you. Here's what you're struggling with. They're like, yes, you got it. You understand me. Then at least you're on the same page. And it could be, I think the best business person would be, you know what? We're not a great fit for you here.
Mm.
What would be a great fit is this other thing. And I'm going to send you over to them. And why don't you go talk to them? But if you do think it is a good fit, explain why, maybe explain also what challenges they might have in the implementation, some new training, some new processes that they may have to change along with it. I think that's how I approach it, right? It's really as a partnership. It's like, how can we work together to solve your problem?
And
Yeah.
how I guess a follow-up question to that, how easy is it to attract and retain these kind of high quality clients and partners that you're looking for?
Um, it depends, right? I think ultimately I believe it's a relationship thing because it's about establishing trust, a little bit of authority too, right? That we've done this before, we know what we're doing, we know what we're talking about. You need to build a rapport, and sometimes I think it's saying no to those kinds of things. It's like, hey, for me, I look at it like this. If it's not a hell yes, in other words, hell yes, we can solve your problem, then it's a no.
Yeah, because
If
otherwise,
it's like, well, I think so, and it's
yeah,
yeah, like that,
yeah,
then it's a no because and it depends on the amount of money you're spending, but as a customer too, you should also feel like this is a hell yes, right? Because you're only because there's inevitably going to be a little bit of turbulence as you're implementing whatever the solution is, right? And so you want to have somebody that you feel comfortable working with on that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, I think there needs to be just a good trust and a good relationship, and that's going to vary from company to company and person to person. So, um, yeah.
makes complete sense. I mean, if you would take a client that doesn't fit, then you might get scope creep, and you might implement features that were not to your core.
But that happens, right? Because
Exactly.
salespeople want to close,
Yes,
and you'll end up with just like, how did we end up in this mess? And sometimes that'll,
absolutely.
and 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 sometimes as a business leader, you have to kill projects like that, and it is not fun. That sucks because you may have just spent a bunch of money that you didn't want to spend, but once you realize you're in a sinking boat, you need to get out of the boat. You can't finish the project. You just need to move on, cut bait, and it happens in business, and that's why you hear in IT, and I don't know what the recent statistics are, but there used to be at one point in time that like some ridiculous number, like 60% of IT projects failed.
Mm.
Can you
Yeah,
believe that?
yeah,
That is crazy.
if not more.
Hopefully, that's terrible. What a terrible track record. I mean, you have why? How can you even function if that's really what it is? But yeah, you want to make sure that you're working with someone who's done this kind of thing before, has your back, and you really feel like you're in a good alignment on. So yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah, on the topic of client acquisition, in your recent
Yeah.
experience, would you say your business development and client acquisition processes are where you want them to be, or are there still parts that feel slower or heavier than they should?
Oh, they always feel slower and heavier than they should be because I'm the boss and I want things to move quicker than they do sometimes. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a great question. And we recently, we've done a lot of direct. We usually sell direct, right? And so we don't have gone through partners. And we recently brought on a partner, and that's opened up a whole new world to us to let the partner also sell for us. And so now I'm seeing the possibilities of what that can do. So from a business development perspective, I think I'm really excited about that possibility. But that's also that's a big decision point. That's a relationship there. You have to be able to trust the partner. But yeah, there's a little bit of friction to get those processes in place, for the partner to become comfortable with you, for them to onboard your sort of deal making process into their selling structure. Yeah.
Yeah, let's dive into it. What is
Sure.
your what is currently your biggest frustration and why?
Um, hmm. I think my biggest frustration would be that, that's a great question. I don't know. What is my biggest frustration? I think maybe it's just articulating what it is that we can do. And it's that, I don't know if it's branding or communication, but I want to feel like that all the way down the chain. So at the top, it's like, I know what we can do. I know the services that we offer. I know the value we can deliver to the client, right? But on down the chain, just does it, like when it gets down to the salesperson who's actually pitching things, how well do they understand that same concepts? And, they may need to bring in a sales engineer, which is fine in order to get over some of the technical things. But I think at the end of the day, it's about painting a picture, telling a story. And the salespeople that are selling on your behalf, need to have a good story to tell, right? And that's where I see some of the frustration, is that maybe I don't think that they're maybe telling the good story. And what is that story? The story is that you, the customer, are the hero. How you want to exactly frame it, but you're the customer, the hero. We are the guide that's going to help you get to your place. So it's kind of like, and then Star Wars, there's Luke Skywalker, right? Luke Skywalker saves the day, defeats Darth Vader, all this sort of stuff. Who's the guide? Obi-Wan Kenobi. You, as the vendor selling the service, you are not Luke Skywalker. So if you're positioning yourself as, we're going to come in and we're going to save the day, you've got the story wrong. And that's where I get frustrated at stuff like that.
Who
No,
are we? Who are you?
the customer is Luke Skywalker. You
Ah,
make them the hero. You are Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're
I see.
giving them the tools that they need, the guidance that they want, unlocking their potential so they can be the hero.
Fantastic. And
Yeah.
then I guess your partners are the rebellion.
I mean, we are the rebellion, right? Yeah. So all together, but yeah, that's right. Yes.
Fantastic. So, I guess if you had a magic wand that you can wave to
Yeah.
solve one thing, what would that main thing be? What's screaming at you right now? What's priority number one? You talked a little bit about how to transfer your sales processes to the new partners.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you've tried before that didn't work, or that you want to improve on right now and implement in terms of growth?
I think I would like to just have us execute on the things we've already decided. Change creates inefficiency. Anytime you have a process that's going along, is as inefficient as it may be, if you make a change, you will immediately see a drop in productivity amongst your people, right? Because they now have to go to this new process. So the new thing that you're going to needs to be a lot better than what was the inefficient process that was there before, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But if you make too many changes, your team's just going to get more inefficient and more inefficient and more inefficient. So you need to kind of stick to your guns, right? And this is why, from a leader perspective, it's like, okay, we have this new tool that we're using Notion. We're not going to change again. We're not going to dump Notion and go to some other thing. This is what we're doing. This is our process.
Yeah.
To get people comfortable within the system so that then you're giving them the tools so they can succeed. So I think it's really about that. And part of it is some internal cheerleading. You need to figure out, who on your team can really be the ones to sort of champion what's happening, to help people as they're struggling. And so that story I just told about the Luke Skywalker and the Obi-Wan Kenobi, you need to do that internally as well on smaller, more micro levels where people are, struggling to adopt these new processes, because once they do get these things working, then now everyone's succeeding, right? And you want that. You want everyone in the organization to benefit from the company's success.
Absolutely. And when it comes to building these teams or scaling teams to help drive growth, do you prefer doing most things yourself, or are you more focused on finding the right partners and systems to take off your plate?
More of the latter. Yeah. Because I'm an entrepreneur and I started my own business and we're privately held, so I'm used to just doing a lot of things myself, just roll up my sleeves. I can do this. And part of my journey has been letting go and finding the right people and then trusting them to do it. And that has been, I'm getting better at it, but that's critical though, because you as a founder, as an owner, you can't succeed by doing it all yourself. You have to have a team that's going to be able to execute the vision. You provide the vision. They make it happen. Yeah.
It's such a big insight that I think comes with experience, right? I guess you've been in the industry for a long time.
I've been in the industry for a long time. Yeah. But I think it doesn't really matter how long you've been in the industry. It's all about your mindset, right? And so you can always be doing things to, look at like, hey, am I the problem? What things am I doing? What things can I help make me better so that everyone else can? I don't want to get in the way. Yeah, it's a personal journey as well.
Of course. That's what entrepreneurs go through. It is a super personal journey. I get it. One thing we love about the leaders that we interview is that they're usually really open to new ways of solving old problems. So how do you personally approach finding new strategies or partners to help drive growth in your business?
Connections, talking with people like you. So thank you so much for inviting me to this and giving me a chance to talk with you. It's really that, I think the people you surround yourself with, that kind of creates, the idea ocean that you live in, and the content that you're taking in, whether it's, through the people you're talking with or content that you're consuming, that becomes your reality. That mindset becomes your reality. So I think the more that you try to be open to new people stories, different approaches, different frameworks, different ways of tackling things, then you can try to, hey, does this change how I think about this other thing?
Yeah.
And just to have an open mindset about that, because business moves quickly. Things are changing quickly. We have AI now. Nobody really knows what it means. We know that it's going to be impactful, but we still don't know how. Right.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, huge insights. And you know, for anyone listening again, please do go to Concourse Hosting, and check out all of their hosting capabilities. You know, before we wrap up here, I
Yeah,
always like to ask,
sure.
is there anything you'd like to share that I didn't ask?
Um, I think one thing that I think about is ways that your teams can synergize that they maybe didn't synergize before. So again, from the infrastructure side of things, for example, typically you'll have your design team doing design related things. You'll have your development team doing development related things. You'll have your infrastructure, your security team basically working on these different things. We had a client recently that had a big security incident that happened to them. And because of that, we came in and helped, but they had a lot of things that they needed to rethink in terms of their processes. And we brought in a new tool to help solve the problems. But at first, people were resistant to that tool. But once we started getting in and looking at it with them, and they're even from a design perspective, they're like, wow, how we present the websites, we can use this tool. The tool is Cloudflare, which a lot of organizations use anyway. It's
Yes.
like, wow, we can use Cloudflare in this new way now. We can actually put portions of our application and our site into Cloudflare that we didn't do before. It kind of unlocked a whole new way of looking at the world just through this sort of unfortunate incident that happened. But the point is, it got people talking to each other, people that don't normally talk to each other and interact. And so I think it would be around that, like what kinds of things can we do to get our teams that don't normally talk together and interact with each other as much to, I don't know, brainstorm, but just sort of have this, kind of mastermind sessions to explore some of those topics. So,
So
yeah.
internal collaboration is a powerful tool. Hey,
Yeah. And part
fantastic.
part of that's relationship building too. So it could be you have a team building event, right? So then people just feel comfortable, one team talking to the other team, just people feeling comfortable with each other, and it's not the dev team talking to the design team or the cybersecurity team talking to the business team. It's, Ed talking to Glenn, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's wonderful. Thank
Yeah,
you so much. You know, I could dive into Cloudflare even more and talk about workers and all of that
exactly.
it comes
Yeah,
from.
yeah.
But I think this is a great end to the
Sure.
podcast. So
Yeah.
again, Glenn, thank you so much.
Hey, thank
Concourse
you. I
Hosting.
appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing
All
your
right.
insights.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.